Welcome to Utah's Fly Corner. I'm Johnny Utah. This is beginner fly number 3. I'm going to show you guys how to tie a dry fly. That way you can get out there and have some dry fly fun on one of your own ties. And this one's going to be a Griffiths Gnat. This fly is going to teach you how to wrap peacock herl again. It's also going to teach you how to palmer some hackle. It's going to teach you ribbing technique as well. What you're going to need is black 8/0 thread. You're going to need either silver or copper, works fine, but extra small wire. I like copper. And you're going to need a hackle to size. Now I'm going to tie it on size 14. Griffiths Gnats work in all sizes. It's from size 12s, 10s, 14s, 16s, 18s, 20s, 22s. Any size you tie them, they work. This one here is going to be a 14. This is a neck hackle. Selected it off. This is a whiting neck. It's got lots of great hackles on it. But I selected it off the neck. Now when you select your hackle for your Griffiths Gnat, you don't want it to be 1.5 times. You want it to be about 1.25. Because you got to compensate for the thicker part of the body of it being peacock herl. I'm going to start the thread up at the eye. And when you wind your thread back, if you keep your tag end parallel with you, oops, caught my bobbin. Well, if you keep your tag end off to the side here, it'll cause those thread wraps to lay right down for you. And when you break your thread off, sometimes that happens. You get a little tag end there. Snip that off. A little fuzz on there. Just get that out of there. Okay. So we made it to the back. Now that we have a nice thread base down, we're going to tie in our wire. We're going to do the soft loop. Just very gently bring the thread up. Don't bring it real tight. Just very gently bring it up and then tighten as you come down over it. So you're going to secure it to the top. Do that one turn. We're tying a dry fly here, so the least amount of thread wraps as possible is a big time plus for a dry fly. Now we're going to take our peacock herl. I'm going to select for this fly two herls for this size. When I do size 18s and so on and so forth, or if you just want a sparser body, you can just use one herl. Now the peacock herl, I like to pull on it. That piece is going to break. That's going to break. And those aren't, but we're going to cut them off anyway. And that's the tip area I'm working on. And tie these in by the tips. Nice soft turn again. Catching on. And then just take nice tight turns, winding forward. Try to keep your wire on top. If it rolls to the side, it's no big deal. But with Griffiths Gnats, always leave yourself about a hook eye space so that you can make the head. That way you'll get a head that's not full peacock herl. Now you take your peacock herl, and I like to wind it the opposite way I wound the thread. Just wind it forward. One turn right in front of the other. I like to push the fibers back a little bit as I go. And that's about it. And then I cross my thread, One turn over the hurl, one turn on the shank, do it again. One turn on the hurl, one on the shank. And you can lift up and snip that hurl out of there. And then you want to take your hackle. Now the hackle, it's got a taper to it, a neck hackle. You can see it tapers down. We get it to where it's uniform. You can use saddle hackle to tie these, but I think the saddle hackle is just a little too stiff. What I did was I trimmed off the stems, the hackle fibers, and it makes little barbs, so it helps your thread really grab in. Now, if you tie in with the good side of the feather, this is the good side, that's the underside of the feather. If you tie it in with the good side facing you, that's a good fly for flowing, not so much for skittering. If you tie it with the underside of the feather facing you, that's a good fly for skittering. But be warned, with it tied underside to you, you can cause twists in your leader. This one we're going to go under. So I got the underside facing me. Catch it on with a loose loop, wrap forward to the eye, and bring your thread back. Now we're going to palmer this backwards. We're going to take one complete turn in front of the eye. That means completely around. And then we're going to take open spiraling turns, that's palmering, backwards. Now when you get back near the point, watch the point, and then take a complete turn right at the back, hold your hackle, grab your wire, bring it over top the hackle, nice and tight. You can let go of the hackle once you got it nice and tight, and then bring your wire forward. And you would just want to palmer that, nice open spiraling wraps. And then when you get to the front here, sweep back, do a complete turn of the wire at the front, catch your thread on the way up with the wire, and then take your wire with holding the thread really tight, put a bend in it, 90-degree bend, then wrap that down towards the head, and leave about one wrap at the head. And you can bend and break your wire off, and bring your thread back up. And then you can whip finish. Now I caught those two hackles in there on my whip loop, but I didn't tighten it yet, so I can use my needle and get them out of there. It's another thing I like about the hand whip. And snip your thread. You can fix your hackle because you held it back, but you can fix your hackle. Now, the hackle that's sticking back here, a brave man that's confident in this fly tying will break that off, but a wise man will snip it off with the scissors. So I snip it off with the scissors. Not saying I'm a wise man, but that's the fly. Very simple. Tie them up in different sizes. I'm Johnny Utah. Check me out on my site, www.utahsflycorner. Thanks for watching. Keep on tying.